There are students who are protesting after a cop beat a Black classmate. Give you the details on it. Outrage is growing in Fairfield, California, after a police officer was caught on video brutally beating a 16-year-old student during his arrest last week. According to Fox 40, Fairfield Police Department confirmed that Wednesday afternoon around lunchtime, a fight broke out on campus. Officers detained one student, but when they began trying to detain a second, now identified as Maurice Williams, he allegedly hit an officer and pulled away. The officer, who goes by the name of Bianca Camacho or Brown, can be seen on camera striking the student several times and tackling him to the ground. His hands appeared to be up, trying to cover and protect his face as she held him down by his hair. We do want to show you this because this is how the officer, if you can believe it, addressed his family.
We're not injured. No one got injured, luckily, because of the size of the staff member. I don't know about the other team that he was fighting with, but that's the result.
That's crazy, because I show you slamming him on the ground, and then...
10 seconds of video.
Right, I'm just talking about the part where you punch him in the face.
I know, I punched him in the face, just a bit. Yeah, so...
But he was not resistant. Like, why were you punching him in the
That's your
face?
opinion.
No.
Okay?
Why would you punch
I
him
already
in the
answered your
face?
question. So if you'd like to talk to my supervisor, his name is Mike McKenna. You're welcome to talk to him. He was here for the incident. I used the necessary force to overcome his resistance to effect your ambulance. Okay. So is there any other questions I can answer? That's fine. You can report the number 42.
Just brazen, huh? I did what I did. Now what? Document it if you feel like it. Nothing you can do to me. Well, we'll see. We'll see. So this cop has an abusive track record. No surprise there. 1 year ago, she dragged an 18-year-old out of her vehicle by her hair during a traffic stop. Same thing that happened to that poor boy happened to me. Maya Hamilton said she should have never been able to continue to be a police officer. They call you guys peace officers to bring peace, not to sit there and bring commotion, cause more problems than there already was, said Hamilton. Despite these complaints, she is still with the police department, although she was just reassigned after last week's incident. You mean after last week's incident? Well, it came to public's attention. That's how things work. In regards to the most recent incident, the department defended the officer's actions. On Thursday, Fairfield Police Department said Williams was displaying aggressive behavior. They said what was caught on camera was the officer performing a, quote, takedown technique, and that the hits were called distraction strikes. Okay. But there's this. According to some news outlets and Williams' mother, there was no physical fight to begin with, like the police department claimed. Dirty in, dirty out. School resource officer James Lewis was at the school filling in for Fairfield High School's regular resource officer who is on paternity leave. Lewis called on Fairfield Police to back him up, which included Camacho. If the normal resource officer had been working, the fight wouldn't have escalated, said Will Bible, a campus monitor who assists him in breaking up fights at the school. Usually when a fight breaks out, Bible said, the resource officer would grab one, I would grab one, and we'd separate them. Bible said he had never seen additional police called to intervene. Bible said he was working at the school Tuesday when a verbal dispute broke out between Williams and another boy. It wasn't a fight. That's what's puzzling me, Bible said. I just wonder what would happen if nobody was filming, he said. Well, they would have lied some more, Mr. Bible. That's usually how things go. They lie even when things are on camera too often. Fairfield Police Chief Dan Marshall said in a statement, first, I want to acknowledge the hurt, concern, and trauma many people have felt after watching the video circulating on social media. I understand that incidents like this can be especially emotional given the history of events across the nation. Okay, so far, not bad. And I recognize why members of our community are asking questions and expressing concerns about this. I am sorry this incident occurred and that it has caused division and concern within our community. In the interest of transparency, an outside organization will conduct an independent investigation of the incident. The officer has been administratively reassigned in the department as we navigate this emotional and challenging time. I'm going to give it a B minus, maybe C plus. That's not bad based on, we have to grade on a curve because what we usually hear from people in positions of authority at the police department, not bad. C plus. I because of the totality of situation and the previous statement, it's a C plus. Okay, so relatives say Maurice is currently recovering from mental and physical trauma caused by the violent encounter with a female police officer. Look, no mother is the statement that I need you to listen to. Should ever have to watch their child be treated this way. Maurice's mother, Ramisha Stevenson, said at a news conference, he is loved. He mattered. He did not deserve to be brutalized like that. She is continuing to advocate for him. So now students, what are they doing about this? Community members too. They've been protesting for 2 days for the press conference. About 25 students and supporters protested in front of the school, chanting, "Expose the lies at Fairfield High," and "No justice, no peace." That for almost 3 hours. Speaking out. So a couple of things here. The reason the police chief gets a C plus is because there was the previous statement, Yaz, that this is just a takedown. Nothing to see here. This was all good. Well, if it's all good and there's nothing to see here, I don't know why you're reassigning someone like that. And hopefully reassigning means you lose your gun and you sit somewhere because we can't trust you with the public. I've never been a fan of police being called to schools, and I'm not saying that violence doesn't happen. It does. You have young people, hormones, all kinds of things, just bad behavior sometimes. It happens. But this is not what we're calling you there to do. At the very best, Miss Thing has some anger issues that don't belong in uniform. At the worst, it's a criminal act. What say you?
Unfortunately, we tend to see a lot of people with anger issues. And those are the people who are in the uniforms. Those are the people who seem to want the uniforms. And those are the people who seem to be effective once they're in the uniforms. That these are the kinds of people that they want policing our streets. These are the kinds of people that they want out there. And it was so jarring watching that video of her, the way she freely admitted to punching that boy in the face, the way she willingly gave the name of her supervisor, like, yeah, sure, here's his name, you can call him if you want, whatever. The way that she told the witness that she did use the appropriate amount of force, which was, in her estimation, punching a kid in the face when he was not resisting. And the way that she acknowledged the camera, it was almost as if she wanted the witness to know that she was not scared of being put on blast. She was like, fine, do what you got to do. Nothing's going to happen to me. These cops know that they are protected. They know that even in like the worst case scenario, they might just lose their job, but they also know that they'll likely just find another one in another precinct, no problem. And it's almost like their record is just washed away like it never existed. They're not worried about the bad press that they get because people will eventually move on. And in the meantime, their money doesn't take too hard of a hit because, again, worst case scenario, they just get reassigned somewhere. And this officer already had a history of abusive, violent, excessive behavior. And the police department that she works for already has defended her. And I say the worst case scenario is that they lose their jobs. The worst case scenario should be that they get prosecuted themselves and get sent to jail, but that should never happen. So like really the worst case scenario effectively is just maybe you'll lose your job. Maybe your life's a little upturned for a little bit, a little inconvenienced for you. It's not like they lose their license to practice or to be a cop. They don't lose their guns, like nothing, right? They're just allowed to just move over there and do the same things, just do it over there. Like, how is that anything? What does that even mean?
Yeah, she did nothing, Officer Camacho, that I saw witness there, including speaking afterwards to the adults to serve and protect. Instead, this was a hell of an audition for the movie Set It Off, right? That's what she looked like she was auditioning for here, not helping, not calming, not restoring order. She brought the chaos and the violence. That's what she brought to that school. And it was, frankly, disgusting. And it's what we see all too often. Regarding the chief who did apologize, which could be a strategy, if I were advising him in a PR move, I would have said something like that. Do you take stock in that public statement, the outreach seemingly to the community, or do you think it's hollow words?
Of course, it's hollow, right? It doesn't mean anything. They said that she was administratively reassigned or whatever it was that he said. Like, it doesn't help anything. And he's like, we want to acknowledge the trauma that people are dealing with right now. And it's like the trauma that they're dealing with, the trauma that was inflicted on an 18-year-old guy, like in school, right? Like none of this needed to happen. And that is the part of the story that gets kind of blown over a lot of the time, right? We tend to focus on the physical violence that happens, but while that is very, very important to focus on, the emotional trauma that is inflicted on these people who are at the hands of this violence from cops, people who are there to supposedly serve and protect, that is lasting. Your wounds can heal, but that kind of trauma stays with you for a long, long time. And it's not just on the person who received the violence, it's on the families, it's on the friends, it's on the community, right? This is now a thing that has happened at that school and is going to stay there in that school for a while. Do you understand? So it's like they're like these things, you can't just blow over them because you are traumatizing people. And that trauma, like he's already in therapy, right? Like he's already seeking mental help for his emotional wounds from all of this. So they blow over these things because it doesn't affect them, but this very much affects these people for generations.
Yeah. And I think you're right too about something else. He says it's being investigated by an outside body. He doesn't name who that body is. I don't trust any of it. There's too much of a communal response to these things by members of law enforcement, even if it's a different division, a different department, whatever, a different level of scrutiny. But the bottom line is this: you don't need the flowery words, folks.
Mhm.
Whoever broke the law is what the chief should say. And this is why I couldn't give him higher than a C plus. Will be prosecuted to the fullest extent, including, if it proves out, the officer. What's so wrong in saying that? Well, what's wrong with saying that is it's never going to happen. Rarely, I should say rarely, is that going to happen. And that's why it's not said. They have no intention, even when an officer does something that is against the law. If there was no violence, like Mr. Bible said, you did not have cause to do what you did. Okay. So investigate all you want, but at the end of it, if it's proven that the officer broke the law, will she be not just fired, not just reassigned, but charged? We'll keep following you.